Hey everybody, I'm Nick for Limited Time Roman, and I'm back for a solo video this time, and it is time for my annual obsession known as the Oscars. Now, Oscar nominations come out on Monday, and I realize I haven't made any of my picks yet, so I decided that today would be the best time to do that, even though there's a lot of noise going on out there right now. Now, every year since social media has been a thing, I've done these long, drawn-out articles about what I think is going to get nominated and even win, and why some things get in and other things don't. I talk about the precursor awards like the Directors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, the Producers Guild, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, or the British Oscars, the Critics' Choice Awards. All these things factor into sort of my opinion of what's going to get in. But this is an insanely abbreviated Oscar season. I mean, nominations are coming out about 10 days earlier than they normally do. And the award ceremony is several weeks earlier than it usually is, whereas it's usually at the end of February. This time it's at the beginning of February. And so I will be offering my predictions in each category, plus a no guts, no glory prediction along the lines of what Sasha Stone at Awards Daily would do, which, I mean, tons of respect for her because that sort of helped cultivate my Oscar fascination, for better or worse. Now watch me get everything wrong. Alright, so Best Picture. Now, there haven't been 10 nominees for Best Picture since the Academy instituted the rule that there could be between 5 and 10 nominees rather than there being 5 or 10, you know? Like, it has to be 10 nominees or anything like that. Ever since they instituted the rule, we haven't had any more than 9 nominees, and typically it's around 9 nominees. I mean, the odd years you'll get 8 nominees, but for the most part, it really is 9. So I'm making my predictions based on the assumption that it's going to stay a 9-movie year, although, I mean, it really could just end up being 8. Lower than 8, I really don't see happening. 10, it's been a very good year for film, so I mean, I would be surprised if it were 10 nominees, but I don't know. There are so many movies that deserve to get in, so I wouldn't be mad about it. Here are my predictions. Oh, and these are in no particular order. So I have The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jojo Rabbit, Parasite, 1917, Joker, Marriage Story, Little Women, and Knives Out. And my no guts, no glory prediction is The Two Popes, which I see popping up more and more now in the sort of final weeks of Oscar voting. Now, to be fair, I really hope I'm wrong because I want Ford versus Ferrari to make the cut, but I feel like they're going to end up getting a lot of tech nominations. Like, that's where their strength is going to be. You can make the argument that because they made the Producers Guild nominations, they made the 10 cutoff, that Ford versus Ferrari has a better chance. But my issue is that I don't think PGA always correlates one-to-one with Oscar. And for me to be more confident about these predictions, I think if Ford versus Ferrari had made more of a splash at the BAFTAs, then I would be more confident in predicting it. But the idea that Christian Bale missed out on an acting nomination, even though it is a crowded category, that kind of has me wavering a bit on the film, but I absolutely love the film and I would love to be proven wrong. There are a lot of times where the Academy will throw in a left field in the Best Picture category, think more like Phantom Thread, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, although I guess the less said about that, the better. But ultimately, I feel pretty strongly about these 9 movies, and I don't know, I'm rolling with them. You know, Best Director is sort of tough because under certain circumstances, I might see this as one of the few years where Best Director lines up 5 for 5 with the Directors Guild choices. But then, it's never really that easy, is it? And so, it's a matter of figuring out which director is the most vulnerable out of the 5 Directors Guild nominees. And so my predictions are Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Sam Mendes for 1917, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, and for that 5th slot, I mean, my no guts, no glory prediction is Pedro Almodovar for Pain and Glory, but, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised to see that happening at all, but I have this weird gut feeling that it's Greta Gerwig for Little Women. but it's hard because I'm like really wavering on what that fifth slot is. Like, it really could be Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, in which case it would be 5 for 5 with DGA, but it could be Todd Phillips for Joker. It could be Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story. It could even be James Mangold for Ford versus Ferrari. But for me, in my mind, it's really between Pedro and Greta, and I'm literally just like throwing a ball in the air, throwing a coin in the air, and I'm just gonna say it's Greta.
Hello there.
Best Actress is a stacked category, and this year I think it's going to be sort of tough because so many people are vying for that fifth slot, you know. I think Charlize Theron for Bombshell is locked in. Renee Zellweger for Judy is locked in. Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story is locked in. And so those extra 2 slots could go to anyone from Awkwafina for The Farewell, to Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, to Lupita Nyong'o for Us, Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, or even a surprise like, say, Alfre Woodard. Although I haven't seen Clemency, so I don't know necessarily how strong the performance is, but I've read a lot of really great things about it. And so for those last 2 slots, I'm just going to go with where I think the Academy's head is at, because it fits in with the type of films and performances they like to reward. So I'm going to say Saoirse Ronan for Little Women and Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, because I think, you know, you have a mixture of people playing real people playing historical figures, people playing beloved literary figures, and people who are playing long-suffering wives. And so there you go. It's like a solid lineup. I wouldn't be surprised. My No Guts, No Glory is Awkwafina. I wouldn't be surprised if she made it, but it's also a situation where I don't know if it was too subtle necessarily, but I guess we'll see.
Bruh.
Actor is a bit tougher because I think, you know, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker is in. Adam Driver is in for Marriage Story. I'm pretty sure Leonardo DiCaprio will get in for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but the rest of it's kind of like juggling. I have no idea. I want to say Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, because that's like, he's one of my favorite actors and I would love to see him get in. But I think there's a lot of competition from Jonathan Pryce in The Two Popes and Taron Egerton for Rocket Man. And so it's a matter of trying to figure out which of those two might miss. Now, there's every possibility that Leo can miss. The only ones who I'm 100% sure about are Joaquin Phoenix in Joker and Adam Driver in Marriage Story, unless some cataclysmic thing happens, which I can't imagine it would. So I'm going to say Taron Egerton for Rocket Man and Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory. And my No Guts, No Glory, it's 2, actually. It's Roman Griffin Davis for Jojo Rabbit and George McKay for 1917. I mean, even if my No Guts, No Glory picks end up getting in, I still don't get any points for it because I didn't actually predict them. And really, it's kind of madness not to be predicting Jonathan Pryce to get in, but I just have a feeling. And 60% of the time that I don't follow that gut feeling, I end up being wrong. 60% isn't really that far over half to be willing to mortgage all of your predictions on, but whatever. This is where I am. This is what I do.
Let's do this.
For supporting actress, I have Laura Dern in Marriage Story, Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers, Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit, Margot Robbie in Bombshell, and Florence Pugh in Little Women. My No Guts, No Glory call is that J-Lo gets snubbed and her spot is replaced by Zhao Zhuzhen for The Farewell or Lee Young-un for Parasite. Because it would be strange for Parasite to be a Best Picture frontrunner like it is now without securing any acting nominations. I mean, Roma was in a similar place last year where it was a foreign language film that many thought could be the first foreign language film to win Best Picture, and it had crucial acting nominations in actress and supporting actress. and it still didn't win. So if Parasite doesn't get an acting nomination somewhere, I think that really hurts its chances, but you never know. I don't know why I feel Jennifer Lopez is sort of vulnerable right now. I suppose it's because she didn't get in for BAFTA, but BAFTA has this weird thing where they allow actors to double dip, so that Margot Robbie got nominated twice in the same category for Bombshell and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So she essentially took up a fifth spot, which she can't do at the Oscars. So that fifth spot has to go to somebody. And I still think Jennifer Lopez is in there. So, I don't know, fingers crossed from one Puerto Rican to another. For supporting actor, I have Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, and Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And my no guts, no glory call is Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. I think what's tough about this category is sort of the Tom Hanks factor, because he hasn't been nominated since Castaway, and the strangest part of it is that he's someone the Academy absolutely loved in the 90s and even in the 80s with Big, but really, since then, he's struggled to kind of get that traction, that Academy traction. I mean, the most egregious one was his snub for Captain Phillips, which I thought was, among his best performances. And I almost feel like if he doesn't get nominated here, then the Academy might be well and truly done with Tom Hanks overall, which is not to say that they don't love and respect him, but that, maybe his best work is behind him. I don't know. Or for whatever reason, they just don't recognize him for it anymore. But I think this is his best chance in a long time because he's playing a figure as beloved as Hanks himself. And so that's worth recognition, even though and he does do a tremendous job in the role. I'm not saying nominate him just because he's Tom Hanks. He does a tremendous job in this role. Now, should he win? No. But could he, if he gets in there? Absolutely, because people sometimes might feel that he's overdue. All right, sorry for that brief interruption. My camera had too much, not enough memory, sorry. For adapted screenplay, I think it's going to mirror a lot of the Best Picture nominees. So that's why I'm predicting The Irishman, Little Women, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and The Two Popes, with my no guts, no glory prediction being A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. On to original screenplay, I think, again, we're going to have some crossover with Best Picture, as is the case. So I'm going to predict Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Marriage Story, Knives Out, Parasite, and The Farewell, with my no guts, no glory prediction being Uncut Gems, unless that's adapted from something, in which case, but I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, my no guts, no glory predictions don't really count. Part of me wants to hope that 1917 makes the cut, but that film's strength wasn't its script. It was the spectacle around it, which isn't to say that it's not well written. There's a lot of intimacy in between the moments of spectacle. It is a well-written film, but I think it's going to follow along the lines of other spectacle-driven films, emotional spectacle-driven films, sort of like Titanic, where you get a Best Picture nomination without the corresponding screenplay nomination. Now, does it kill its chances of winning Best Picture? Not necessarily, but if any movie can overcome the hurdle, I would imagine it'd be 1917. Ugh, it's a weird place to live. For Best Cinematography, absolutely I'm going with 1917, and adding Joker, The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Ford vs. Ferrari. And my no guts, no glory prediction is The Lighthouse. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a great category filled with potentially great nominees, but Roger Deakins is just on another plane of existence. I sometimes wonder if there's anyone who's as good at anything as Roger Deakins is at cinematography. But then we're not talking about winning yet, we're just in the nomination phase, so let's save that. Let's table that for another time. Best Costume Design, also known as my mom's favorite category. This is just based off of what the Academy's preferences sort of tend to be. And so I'm going with Little Women, Rocket Man, Downton Abbey, Dolomite Is My Name, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, with my No Guts, No Glory prediction being Jojo Rabbit. Now on to Best Film Editing, which is a crucial category because it's exceedingly rare to win Best Picture without a nomination in this category. I think the last time it happened was when Birdman won a few years back. My predictions are The Irishman, Parasite, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Ford versus Ferrari. Now, I picked Ford versus Ferrari because typically there's at least one nominee in there who doesn't get in for Best Picture. So if I'm not predicting Ford v Ferrari, but I'm expecting it to get technical nominations, then this would be a place for that to happen. Think along the lines of like Baby Driver. My No Guts, No Glory prediction is Jojo Rabbit. I was originally going to put Joker in there, but I think Jojo Rabbit just feels more correct to me in my head as a potential spoiler. For Best Makeup and Hairstyling, I am predicting Rocket Man, Bombshell, Joker, Judy, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, because Disney. Best Production Design, I am going with 1917, Jojo Rabbit, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Little Women, and Ford vs. Ferrari. And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is Dumbo, because I think whether you like that movie or not, I think its production design is something that really sticks with you. The vibrancy of the colors. Of course, like part of that is me wondering how much of it is just the CGI, but I don't know. Maybe I'm making a mistake not predicting it outright. And, you know what? No, yeah, I'm going to say Dumbo over Ford versus Ferrari. Screw it. I'm changing it. I figured prediction time is when you make risks. So Dumbo is going in and replacing Ford versus Ferrari, which is now my No Guts, No Glory prediction. This always happens. For Best Animated Feature, I'm going to go with the obvious and say Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Missing Link, and then fill in the final two spots with Claws, which has been pretty favorably received, and, what's the last movie? I Lost My Body. There we go. That's the last movie. And mostly, it's a combination of storyline, style, substance. I don't know that it'll necessarily get in, but I feel like there's always that one or two fringe nominees that aren't from a major studio, that aren't like this big blockbuster production, and I Lost My Body it fits the mold. You know, it's a movie about a hand that tries to reunite with its body. Like, what do you want? And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is Abominable. Don't know why, I have a feeling. For Best Original Score, I'm going with Joker, Marriage Story, 1917, Little Women, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is going to be Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah, let's go with that. Now, this is one of my personal favorite categories, and it's always because it's typically among the harder to predict each year, although it's gotten considerably easier now that they release the short list of finalists, and it is Best Original Song. And so I'm predicting I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man, Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, Stand Up from Harriet, Spirit from The Lion King. Did I say that weird? The Lion King. There we go. And I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough. And my No Guts, No Glory pick is Glasgow, No Place Like Home from Wild Rose. And I really hope that my No Guts, No Glory pick gets in, because it's my favorite song out of all the finalists. Now, originally, Glasgow was in my top 5 until I realized that Diane Warren had a song in the race. And she's been getting nominated every year for songs that are just... Okay, she's like a great songwriter and everything, but like her recent output is just really mediocre ballads, and I don't get it other than that, like, she's someone who the Academy respects, and rightfully so, but I almost feel like she's taking up a spot every year if they're not actually going to give it to her. And I almost kind of wish they would so we can free up that spot, because I'm Standing With You is not a bad song, but it's not. It's just so hard because the Academy loves nominating songs by Diane Warren, but they also love nominating songs from documentaries. And so Pharrell Williams has a song called Letter to My Godfather from The Black Godfather. And that's another really good song, but it sounds a bit like Everybody Hurts by REM, except with loads of auto-tune. And yet, they've nominated Pharrell before, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Mostly the reason that I'm sticking with the predictions that I have is because I think they want star power for the telecast. So you get Elton John, you get Beyonce, you get Cynthia Erivo for the theater-loving crowd. You get Chrissy Metz from This Is Us to perform I'm Standing With You. And, I mean, you get Idina Menzel for Into the Unknown. So, you know, it's a pretty stacked lineup for the most part. Although I have been listening to the song from Motherless Brooklyn on repeat, and it would be insane if Tom York could be an Academy Award nominee, because Daily Battles is a great song. I'd even love if, like, the catchy song from Lego Movie Part 2 got in, because they already nominated Everything Is Awesome from the first one, and I would love to see that happen. But I think the real travesty here is that Taylor Swift and Andrew Lloyd Webber's Beautiful Ghosts didn't make the shortcut for finalists, because that song is gorgeous and ticks all the Academy boxes. I don't know why it didn't make it in, because I think this is before Cats sort of bombed, so there was really no reason for it not to, like, make the cut. And it still made the shortlist in other categories too. So it seems strange for it to make the shortlist in other categories and miss out in its strongest category. Best visual effects, I'm going with Avengers Endgame. The Irishman, because that de-aging technology, very nice. And one of the few times I've seen it work really well. The Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, with Alita Battle Angel as my spoiler, my no guts, no glory prediction. For sound editing, I'm going with Ford v Ferrari, 1917, Avengers Endgame, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, with Rocket Man as my no guts, no glory prediction. Best sound mixing, I'm going with 1917, Ford vs. Ferrari, Avengers Endgame, Rocket Man, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, with No Guts, No Glory being Ad Astra. We have Parasite, Les Miserables, Pain and Glory, Corpus Christi, and Atlantique, with my No Guts, No Glory prediction being the documentary Honeyland. If I remember correctly, only 2 other films have been nominated for foreign language feature while being documentaries. I think one of them was Waltz with Bashir, which was a great movie. At least from what I can remember of it. It was a very long time ago. I'm sorry. For Best Documentary Feature, I go off of subject matter to make my predictions, because I don't have the frame of reference that's probably necessary to correctly weigh all the options in this category. So my predictions are American Factory, The Cave, Apollo 11, Honeyland, and For Sama. And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is One Child Nation. For Best Documentary Short Subject, I'm going with Fire in Paradise, After Maria, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone, Ghosts of Sugarland, and Stay Close, with my No Guts, No Glory prediction being Walk, Run, Cha-Cha.
Kobe!
Best Animated Short, I'm going with Kit Bull, Hair Love, Sister, Dissera, or Daughter, and The Physics of Sorrow, with my No Guts, No Glory prediction being Mind My Mind. For Best Live Action Short, I'm going with Refugee, A Sister, The Neighbor's Widow, Little Hands, and Brotherhood. And my No Guts, No Glory prediction is Miller and Son. So yeah, there you have it. Those are all my Oscar predictions. Let me know what yours are in the comments. If you want me to explain my process for any other categories, you can just hit me up in the comments. And if you've even made it this far, in which case I just want to say thank you for sticking with me and through all the noise and racket, which is nobody's fault because I didn't have to record it at this time, but I fell behind, and so I wanted to do it now. So, so I'm very much looking forward to, man, I gotta stop saying so much. I'm very much looking forward to the Oscar nominations coming out on Monday, and I hope you'll join me then when I sort of go over, I guess, my reactions to the Oscar nominations. So looking forward to it. Hope to see you there.